Hi and welcome to RC Nerd 74. In today's video I'm going to give you a short update about the Corona 2.4 GHz S-Fhss receiver which works for Futaba transmitters. I'm going to go through the modification I did and also talk about the compatibility facts I found out, because the target was to connect it not with my Futaba T14SG receiver but with the Jumper T8SG Plus, just because this transmitter is way lighter and way smaller than the Futaba transmitter, and I use this for hiking with my FPV drones. That's the reason why I wanted to bind it to this transmitter, and I modified it just to make it possible to put it into a 3-inch quad where you have extremely limited space. This is why I tried to reduce the size, and now let's go through the mod and the compatibility. First of all, I had to take the receiver out of the case. That was the hardest part of the modification, just because the case is pretty strong and it's not easy to open it. There are no screws or something, so I ended up to use the Dremel to open the case. So I had to be extremely careful to not damage the electronics plate, which is full of electronic elements, so you can kill something on the electronics plate pretty easy. That was a bit a mess to open up the case, but finally it went out well and the receiver still works after I opened it. The second thing I had to do, the second mod, is to take off all the servo pins from all 4 channels. It's a 4-channel receiver, or S-Bus. I had to unsolder all the pins. Luckily it was possible to remove all the pins in a way that I'm able to solder them back on, including all the plastic mount which keeps the pins in place. So like this I'm able to go back to normal mode and use it as a regular 4-channel receiver if I want to do this. To test the binding, I just built up this simple setup. I have the receiver on 1 channel. I soldered on a servo. So for the binding test, I used the receiver in normal mode. I connected 1 servo to channel 1, and I connected an old 6-volt back to channel 4 just to power up the receiver. And here I have my connectors to go to my battery, just to power up the receiver and have a look if I'm able to bind it to the Jumper radio or to the Futaba radio. Unfortunately, I figured out that the receiver is not compatible to the Jumper radio. The Jumper radio supports S-Fhss protocol, which is used on the Futaba transmitters, and this receiver also supports S-Fhss, but because of some reason the connection between the Jumper radio and the Corona receiver isn't possible. Then I tried to bind it with the Futaba receiver, and that was absolutely no issue. It was fast connected like you know it from the original Futaba receivers. So I can show you, just let's turn on the transmitter, select the right model, then I just need to connect my battery. The receiver is already connected with the transmitter, and as you can see we have the green LED here, which means the receiver is connected to the transmitter. I just can show you if I turn off the transmitter, the LED turns red. If I turn it back on, the LED turns back on as soon as I choose the right model. Let's have a test with the servo works, which is connected to channel 1, and as you can see when I move the stick on my transmitter the servo works. So there is no damage on the RC receiver. The Corona R4Sf works absolutely perfect, but important to know for everyone who wants to go for a receiver like this, they only work with Futaba transmitters. No way to connect it to a Chinese transmitter which supports multi-protocol and supports S-Fhss protocol from Futaba. Only possible to connect it to Futaba. That's what you have to think about if you want to go for this. The reason why I give it a try was just because this is $17 and a similar Futaba receiver like the R401 SB is at around $60. So you can almost buy 4 of these for one Futaba original receiver. The experiment didn't work, but for sure a great solution and a cheap solution too for using it with Futaba transmitters. That's all for today's update, so thanks for watching, have a good time, bye bye.